A storage drawer slams open by itself. The only body scheduled inside is gone. The woman checks the identification tag twice. The records insist the occupant never left the chamber. A distant metallic impact echoes beneath the floor. Something heavy is moving where no one should be working. Hours earlier, she had arrived for her first night assignment. The facility looked abandoned despite operating around the clock. The supervisor watches her complete a delicate preparation procedure without mistakes. His approval comes unusually fast. Before ending his shift, the older man hands her a ring of keys. He warns her never to enter restricted levels alone. While storing equipment, she notices the supervisor emerging from a secured access door underground. He immediately locks it behind him. When she asks what is below, he changes the subject. The answer never comes. Night settles over the facility. The silence feels larger than the building itself. Her assignment includes processing 3 arrivals before sunrise. Each file contains unusual red markings. To drown out the silence, she turns on an old radio. Static answers before the music begins. The first procedure goes smoothly until a reflection appears behind her. When she turns, nobody is there. She searches the nearby halls and finds every door locked. The feeling of being watched remains. A phone mounted on the wall suddenly rings. The supervisor is only calling to ask if she is alone. After the call ends, she hears breathing through the receiver. The line should already be dead. Without warning, the power cuts out. Emergency lights paint the corridors in dim shadows. A shape crosses the far end of the hallway. It moves too quickly to identify. She follows it into an underground passage. The air grows colder with every step. At the end of the tunnel, she finds fresh footprints in standing water. They lead back toward the storage chambers. She returns to the preservation room and discovers the missing drawer hanging open. This time, another drawer is empty too. She checks the surveillance monitors. Every camera covering the chamber failed at the exact same minute. The footage from earlier remains intact. 2 covered figures can be seen leaving their drawers and walking out of frame. She replays the recording repeatedly. The figures never appear entering any hallway. A loud impact shakes the building. Dust falls from the ceiling above the observation room. The supervisor answers her call immediately. Instead of sounding surprised, he sounds disappointed. He tells her to stay away from the underground level. Then he abruptly hangs up. Moments later, another call arrives. A distorted voice repeats her full name despite no caller identification. The voice describes details from her past that nobody at the facility should know. When she demands answers, the line fills with distant footsteps approaching from somewhere underground. The call ends. The footsteps continue outside the phone. She follows the sound and discovers a locked maintenance gate slightly open. Beyond it lies a section of the facility missing from every blueprint she reviewed earlier. The hidden corridor leads to rows of sealed containers. Dates on them stretch back decades. Inside one container, she finds photographs of previous night workers. None stayed longer than a few months. Every photograph contains the same pale figure standing somewhere in the background. A handwritten note warns that the figure imitates memories before it imitates people. Before she can read further, something begins pounding from inside a nearby container. The impact stopped the moment she approaches. Silence returns instantly. She opens the latch expecting a trapped person. The container is completely empty. Behind her, dozens of old photographs suddenly fall from a shelf. Every image now shows her instead. She backs away from the photographs and notices something impossible. In each image, she appears years before she ever arrived at the facility. A metallic screech echoes through the ventilation system. Somewhere above, a heavy door has opened. She returns to the main level and finds fresh water pooling across the floor. It wasn't there minutes ago. The water carries black residue from deeper underground. Something has been disturbed below. A storage log catches her attention. Several containers are marked as occupied despite being officially empty. The listed locations all point toward the restricted underground level the supervisor warned her about. Curiosity wins over caution. She unlocks the service elevator and descends alone. The elevator stops several floors deeper than the building plan suggested were possible. A narrow hallway stretches ahead. Every wall is covered with layers of warning messages written by different hands. One message repeats more than any other: never answer the second voice. At the end of the passage, she discovers a locked observation chamber hidden beneath the facility. Inside sits an old recording station still running after years of neglect. She activates the latest recording. The voice belongs to a former night worker. The recording describes seeing missing occupants leave storage chambers and walk underground. Then the speaker reveals a worse discovery. The figures were never the missing occupants. According to the recording, something beneath the facility builds copies from stolen memories. The audio suddenly shifts. The former worker begins screaming and running. The final words are cut short by a second voice speaking through the same microphone. That second voice is identical to the worker's voice in every detail. As the recording ends, a speaker across the room crackles alive. Her own voice says her name. The speaker repeats her name again, but the timing is wrong. It answers questions she has not asked yet. A second message follows. It warns her not to trust the supervisor under any circumstances. Before she can process it, the room lights fail. The recording station shuts down. Emergency lighting flickers on. A new message has appeared on the wall beside the exit. The words are still wet. Someone wrote them moments ago. It learns faster when you remember. A distant alarm begins sounding from the upper floors. The facility has entered emergency lockdown. She races back through the tunnels. Along the way, she notices new footprints beside her own. The second trail matches her stride exactly. Every step mirrors hers. When she stops walking, the other footprints continue forward alone. The trail leads directly to a sealed furnace access door that should require multiple keys. The door is already open. Heat spills into the corridor. Inside, she finds the supervisor searching through old equipment with desperate urgency. He claims the lockdown began because something escaped containment below. When she mentions the warning recordings, his expression changes instantly. He admits the recordings are real. Then he reveals every night worker received the same warnings. None of those workers survived long enough to explain what happened afterward. A loud bang interrupts the conversation. Something strikes the furnace doors from the other side. Another impact follows. Metal bends inward. The supervisor finally reveals the truth. The facility was never built to store the dead. It was built to trap an intelligence that survives by copying human identities and memories. The copied identities eventually become unstable. When that happens, they abandon their borrowed forms and search for a stronger host.